Netflix.
Don't go.
I'm Gabby.
I'm Ashley.
We switched sides. This week for Netflix we watched the movie Go.
Don't.
It's a Bollywood film. This was my first experience with Bollywood. And let me say, they are very interesting movies.
I feel really bad that this was your first experience because a lot of Indian cinema is so good, and I'm going to recommend a bunch to you after this because there's so many good ones out there, at least on Netflix at least. And this is just awful. It was such a bad movie overall. It wouldn't have been a good any kind of movie ever. Can I just real fast talk about one technical thing that bothered the crap out of me? ADR. Do it right. It's basically when they talk over.
I know what ADR is. I took a class.
Yeah, they talked over themselves like a lot of times in post-production, but almost none of it seemed to match up, and it's so obviously not matching up that it drove me crazy. And it was kind of bad acting over top of it too. It just took you out of the movie the entire time.
Okay, so the basic plot of this movie is very hard to find, number one. But we're gonna try to get it for you.
So there are two neighbors, I don't remember their names.
Abe
Vasu?
and Vasu.
Yeah.
Abe and Vasu.
And they're love each other, but kind of also treat each other like crap, but their parents hate each other and don't want each other to be in a relationship.
It's very Romeo and Juliet, obviously.
Yeah, so then they run off to get eloped, but in the meantime, they run into this government conspiracy of some guy dying.
They're in this whole government conspiracy, and there's a murder conspiracy, and they have this cassette that has information on it. And for some reason, they don't just immediately turn it into the police.
The songs had very little to do with the plot, which is kind of normal, but also different from what I'm used to. I'm used to the songs having a little bit more to do with the plot.
Now, I don't know if this is a thing with all Bollywood movies, because this was my first Bollywood movie, but it is so confusing that the songs are like music videos casually thrown into the movie. And they made sense where they were, because they were like, and now sing! And then it was like a music video.
This was hardcore music video. I feel like they're more in the middle of music video /
They were totally different locations, and nothing matched up with the movie. They were
it was kind of just here's a song rather than song about plot. So it was different than what I'm used to, but I've only seen maybe 5 Indian cinema movies, so I'm not an expert on this. I've just watched a couple and I didn't really like them.
One of the major problems I have with this movie was that the plot was so all over the place that I couldn't really follow it.
There was a Michael Jackson kind of character who was kind of really weird, and there was super tall stoic guy, and I don't really know what he was doing, and then there was the brother, and I was like, what? And then there were the two, and then there were the parents, and it was
the strangest thing about it, and I think the thing that took me out of it the most, is that it starts off with these two brothers, and one's the chief minister, and one's the assistant chief minister, and the chief minister has his younger brother, the assistant, killed. But it started off with them, and then they were not the main characters.
Yeah.
So it was weird.
It felt like we should have just been along the ride with the two people on their elope trip and then find out when they find out stuff. That would have been more interesting to me.
Exactly.
Rather than going back and forth and confusing me more.
Other than the plot, I think my biggest issue with this movie was that Vasu and Abe were supposed to be in love, but that did not communicate at all. They seemed like siblings in the way that they fought and didn't like each other, and she was always like, Abe!
I didn't like the way they treated her character. He had all of the information and the things to do, and suddenly was Chuck Norris fighting everyone, or Wolverine or whatever, and she was just kind of always in the middle of it all, and had a lot less action to do, so that was really annoying.
She did call him out a couple of times on you always told me to do this, and you always told me to do that, even though I've told you several times that I don't like it, but there was no character development for anyone at all. I think it would have been better if Abe had went from this, womanizing character to, actually really caring about Vasu.
But even in, the very last scene, he's like, yo, you're such a fool. I want them to know you're the fool for marrying me and not the other way around. Yeah. And I'm like, what? There's nothing. It's completely flat, static characters. It's the worst. I don't even want to talk about this movie anymore.
So, let's get to the O scale.
4 O's. I'm just, the 1 O was because music was kind of cool, but...
I'm gonna agree with 4 O's. This movie was not good. So, one last time, Netflix, no!